from Texas? Got a bunch of them, all right. So I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I flew here yesterday. And so, hello, Circles. The title of my talk is Launch Now. And in 2013, that's exactly what I did. I launched a baseball bat company with no bats. And I don't recommend doing that, but I had no product. I had no idea how to create a baseball bat. And if I did know how to do that, I would not know how to paint it. So in 2013, I did that. I launched. And today I'm going to tell you kind of what I've been up to for the last 6 years or so, and some of the fun things that I've gotten to do and some of the fun people that I've gotten to meet. And so our bats, we customize our bats, and people hang these on their wall. We do a lot of work with Hattie B's in Nashville, and that's what the bats look like. We're getting into like the sneaker culture, which is really cool. I'm a big Jordan fan, and so we've gotten to do these bats. We're working with old baseball players like Dale Murphy. Like he wanted his number on a bunch of bats to autograph these and sell to fans. Sometimes people frame the bats, and that's a good thing that I didn't know people would do when I launched this thing. People hang the bats on their wall, which is kind of mostly what I recommend doing. If you're Casey Neistat, there's audio here on this video. You're going to do this with your Mitchell bat. Yeah, so he took his Mitchell bat that hangs in the back of his studio in New York on his door, and he smashed his YouTube trophy. So that was a fun surprise on YouTube. So a quick backstory of myself. I grew up playing baseball, and that's where my love of baseball started. There's me dominating the t-ball field in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and I played for lots of different teams. There's me playing for the YMCA, the Reds, the Red Sox. I got traded a lot, so that was good. And also, kind of like Bo Jackson, I played football as well, and played basketball. Looked pretty good doing it there. Outside of playing baseball, I collected baseball cards, and this was something that was every Christmas, every birthday, every time I had any amount of money, I would purchase baseball cards, 50 cents a pack, 1988 tops is what I'm showing here. And there were so many cards that were important to my life. The Billy Ripken era card, if you know about that. Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, Bo Jackson rookie card. And so I spent so much time with these baseball cards, putting them in number order and trading them with my friends that I started to learn that this is a business. At 10 years old, I understood that there was value in these baseball cards, and I would go to baseball card shops and these shows, and I would, haggle with these grown men about different cards. But the thing that I want to talk to you about today is the design of baseball. When I looked at as a kid, when I would look at a Darryl Strawberry baseball card, I saw the Mets logo, and I saw the jersey, and I knew that they were orange and blue. Same for the Yankees, navy and gray. And the Red Sox, red and blue. Like I saw colors when I would see these. And I loved looking at jerseys and collecting jerseys as a kid and also as an adult. It's a very expensive hobby. Mickey Mantle was one of my favorite players to read about or to watch movies about. And there's so many different stripe patterns, not only in all sports, but baseball really embraces the stripes in baseball. Hats, so many different colors of hats, different combinations. As a kid, I saw it and I knew that it was special. I knew that there was a purpose to all of this stuff. Different branding opportunities that these teams have. There's so much that they put into this. Now, I grew up in the 80s, and I loved looking at old baseball photos like this one here. Mickey Mantle, again, was one of my favorite players to read about. Hank Aaron. And also the baseball stadiums are also kind of play a character. They play their own character in this story of baseball. When I go to Wrigley Field or recently when I've visited Fenway Park, there's just something really, really special that dates back to, me looking at these baseball cards and getting to visit these places is very special. So back in August 2013, this kind of starts the story of Mitchell Bat. I was asked to be a part of a group of designers to help rebrand a skateboard company called Salem Town Board Co. And Salem Town's mission was to create these amazing-looking hand-painted skateboards and also help train and employ and mentor inner-city kids. I thought that was the coolest. And so I would go down to their shop every day for about a month. I needed to create content for this website. And this was a free project that I agreed to. In August 2013, my wife and I were expecting our second baby girl. We have 3 girls now. But at the time, we were about to have our second baby, and I was doing a ton of freelance, and I was asked to do this pro bono project by a friend of mine named Brad Davis. And Brad said, Matt Lehman's going to help, Micah Smith's going to help, Tom Okerson's going to help, are you in? And I thought, man, I don't have time for this, but when will I ever have another chance to work on a skateboard project? And so I agreed. And so when I went to that shop for the first time and I saw what they were doing, working with their hands and making things out of wood and stripes and paint, something inside of me was unlocked. Because everything that I had made prior to that, working in advertising for about 15 years, was digital. So I would create a video or an app or a website. And so when I saw them working with their hands, I'm like, wow, I wish I could do something like that, but I don't know what to do. So 1 month later, after the project was kind of over, I started thinking about, what can I make? And so I started drawing these baseball bats on paper, just one after the other. I'm like, maybe bats. Maybe I could do baseball bats. But I don't know how to make a bat. I'm not a woodworker. But I can design a bat. And so that's what I started doing. I started posting these bats on Instagram. And I don't even know why I did that, because it was back when Instagram was like, you posted everything about what you're doing, not about your portfolio. And I was just posting these images of these bats, and people started liking the photos, and I started seeing that people were interacting with these bat images. And people were commenting, and they were saying, hey, are you going to start a bat company? And I'm like, based off of this? No, I don't think so. And so the more people that started asking questions, the more I thought, like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should, take these into Photoshop and make them colorful and make them look more like the final product. So that's what I started doing. And so then I noticed that people were putting those on Pinterest, and they were really emailing me questions like, hey, when you launch your website, I'm going to buy a bat. And so all of that kind of like that 1 month momentum of people liking my drawings sparked an idea. And so I told my wife the idea, and when I tell my wife, when I say, hey, I have an idea, she's like, no, not again. Come on, we're good. We have 2 babies, or you're busy. Like, what is it? And I say, I want to put stripes on baseball bats, and I want to give a portion of the profits to Major League Baseball's charity RBI, which stands for Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities. And she's like, that's kind of cool. All right, when do you think about launching this? And this was around October 1st of 2013. And I said, I think I'm going to do it now. I want to do it now. And she was like, why don't you wait till after Christmas? Let some things slow down. And I'm like, okay, cool. After Christmas, we'll think about it after Christmas. So this leads me to the launch story. So that's not after Christmas. That is well before Christmas. So Game 6 of the World Series. If anybody remembers that, it's Boston Red Sox versus the St. Louis Cardinals. The Red Sox were about to win the World Series, and it was a big deal because the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series at Fenway Park in almost 100 years. So the news was talking about it, baseball fans were excited about it, even non-baseball fans were talking about the World Series, and a lot of eyeballs were on it. And so it was Game 6, and I'm at home watching the game, and slowly my family, it starts to trickle off and go to sleep. So I'm by myself, me and the dog. And I'm thinking about the bat company. And I'm like, man, what if I did this? What if I launched it right now? That'd be crazy. I don't even have bats. I don't even know where they're going to come from. That's a bad idea. I shouldn't do that. And the further the game got, I'm watching the game. thinking about the bats. Like, oh man, I really want to do this. And so, during a commercial break, I launched a little website. 2 bats for sale, no big deal. No one's going to see it. And I bought the URL. And I'm like, well, I'll put on the website that it'll only take like 6 to 8 weeks to get a bat. And I figured if somebody buys a bat right now, then I'll have 2 months. And that's probably enough time to learn how to make a bat and paint it the way I want it. So then I get back to the game. And then I'm like, well, I can't have a website without an Instagram account. And so created an Instagram account. 1 post. Heritage-inspired, hand-painted baseball bats, Nashville, Tennessee. We give a portion of our profits to MLB.com/RBI to help revive baseball and intercities, MitchellBatCo.com. I launched a company. And I started finding people on Instagram that were actually at the game. This is when Instagram started the geotagging, and you can find people actually at the thing that you're talking about. And so I'm finding those people, and I'm liking their photos, and I'm commenting on their photos, and they're liking back, and they're like, oh, these bats are sick. And I'm like, thanks, man. And I'm like, here's a free promo code for free shipping to these bats that don't exist. And they're commenting back, yeah, cool, thanks. And I did that just like during the whole game. I'm just like, just liking as fast as I can. The game ends. In Boston, Massachusetts, the Red Sox win the World Series. And in Nashville, Tennessee, I started a bat company. The next day was Halloween. Go to a Halloween party and tell my friends what I did, and they're like, oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations, thank you. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, where are you going to get the bats? I'm like, I have no idea. They're like, well, if somebody buys one? I'm like, 6 to 8 weeks, man, I got time. So, 4 days later, we sell our first bat. It was a Sunday, and I'm sitting there with my wife, and I hear this noise on my phone I've never heard before. And it was like the sound of a cash register. It was like, cha-ching. And I was like, what was that? And my wife was like, I don't know, it came from your phone. And I said, that's odd. So I go over to my phone and pick it up, and I'm like, oh no. She said, what? I said, lock the door. We're in big trouble. She said, what happened? I said, someone bought a bat. I don't even have bats. What am I going to do? And she's like, you email them back and you give them their money back right now. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So minutes later, I get an email from that guy. And he says, hey, I just bought a bat, and I'm curious to know if you have bats that are orange and blue, because I want to buy an orange and blue bat to go with my red and white bat. And so I did what anyone would do. I went to Photoshop, changed the color of the bat, posted that on the website, made a link, and I responded to his email with a link, and I said, you're in luck. Yes, we do. And he bought the bat from the email that I just sent him. So now my first customer is my first repeat customer, and now I'm in more trouble because now I have 2 bats to make, and I don't know how to do this. And then the word got out. And so we started selling, you can't see that's white handle, but you can't see it. But we started selling bats to people in Australia and Oakland and Canada. And we didn't even have I didn't even have it set up to ship internationally. So those are on me. And so I figured it out. I found a guy who could get me the bats, and I bought the paint, and I bought everything. And I haven't painted anything since I was little, like model cars and I'm not a graffiti artist, but I don't know how to use a spray can. So I started learning really fast, and this was like after my day job, I would come home, and after the kids go to bed, and I would sit there and paint my backyard, and I had a system, all these tubs that were in my house. So 2 weeks later, these people email me, and it's an email that's just like, hey, I saw your bats, and we want to feature you in our holiday gift guide for Black Friday. Are you interested? And I'm like, holy cow, off to the races. And so I responded back, and I made sure I was like ESPN, in his email address. I'm like, this is real. This is not a joke. And I emailed him back, and I said, sure, what do you need from me? He said, I just need high-res photos of your product. And I'm thinking, high-res photos? I don't even have pictures or product to take pictures of, and here I am, ESPN wants these things. And so I agreed. And sure enough, there we are on Black Friday, right there on the website. And there's nice copy written about our bats and with a link to buy. Soon after that, this is what our house looked like. That's a baby bed. That's bats do not belong in there. Babies belong in there. And in our shed, our little shed in our house was full of bats, and tubs were, everywhere, just like orders coming in. And I would stay up till like 2 a.m, and then I would turn the site down. I would just turn the site off, and I'm like, I quit. And I wake up a couple hours later, I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm back. I'm back in business. And I quit probably 10 times, like in that short amount of time. So after that, the ESPN thing hits, and then everybody knows about it now. Everyone's looking at it. And so we were featured on all these nice websites. ESPN, Martha Stewart, InStyle, Dwell, Country Living, goes on and on and on. And I had never written any copy about the bats. They were just bats, it was stripes on them. We give a portion of the profits to help inner city kids play baseball. And so people were writing things like, the most beautiful piece of sporting equipment you would never want to use. I'm like, I like that. That's cool. The next thing said, best Christmas gift for any baseball fan. I'm like, I agree. Buy a bat for someone that loves baseball for Christmas. And then one blog simply just said, mantle candy. I like that one too. I like that one. And all of this started really with me being inspired by this free project that I did, pro bono, and seeing these people work with their hands, and it sparked me just drawing these baseball bats for no reason, just to I love baseball. It's art, and I think that what better way to celebrate baseball than to create something out of wood and art and paint. And so the gist of that part of the talk is, don't wait for perfect. If you have an idea that you're sitting on, if it's something that you've been thinking about for a long time, do what I did and just launch it. What's the worst that could happen? Probably a lot of things. So then the collaborations started happening. And this is the part, the last 6 years, my most favorite part of what I get to do. I get to collaborate with brands that I would have never imagined I would ever be talking to or sitting across the table from. The first collaboration we ever did was a design shop out in Seattle called Invisible Creature. Don Clark, Ryan Clark, they're brothers, and they create amazing things. And Don reaches out early on and says, hey, I have this idea about this fake baseball league. And I'm like, fake? That's right up my alley, because I know how to create something fake. And he said, John Contino's involved, Oxford Pennant's involved, Leatherhead Sports are going to do some stuff for us. We want you to create the bats. Are you interested? And I'm like, that sounds fun. And so they made a video about the collaboration. I'm going to show it to you. Yeah, you can clap for that. So that was our first collaboration, and I didn't fully understand what we were doing, and it was awesome to see it all put together. When I saw the video, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So then after that, people would reach out and they would say, can you put my logo on a bat? And in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't want to learn how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to tell them that no, we don't do that. It's against our brand standards to do that. And I just didn't know how, and I just didn't have time to figure it out. And then I get an email from these people, and they're like, hey, can you put our logo on a bat? And I responded, I was like, yeah, I would love to. Fantastic, let's do it. And so I made a Jack Daniel's bat, and collaborating with him back and forth, I had this idea to like stain it with whiskey to get that brown on the wood and catch it on fire. So we did like a flame charred, like a barrel sort of flame charred looking bat. And there's me in the paint booth doing some clear work. We've gotten to work with New Era. We did some bats for them for some marketing things. Ebbets Field Flannels, they're out in Seattle, and they make these amazing flannel hats. They were our first retailer, so they reached out fairly soon after we started it, and they wanted to carry our bats in their store, and very much of the same aesthetic as them, and they also use it in branding as well. And Lisa Cooper, the owner, I had the pleasure to sit down with her last weekend in Seattle and record a podcast. The Jeremy Mitchell Show is my podcast where I'm interviewing people in sports that I think are interesting and who have also helped me. She's been such a great mentor. In this photo, I love this photo because I'm telling her thank you for mentoring me for 6 years, and like she had no idea that I like regarded her as like a mentor, and so like it's a sweet moment. She's a sweet lady. We've worked with design agencies. Shy at Day did a bunch of bats with us, and they give them out as gifts to people on staff that are hitting it out of the park. Homage, Herschel Supply. When they launched their Major League Baseball bag line, they wanted to have bats in all of their stores overseas, and so we did a big run of bats for them. So it's just getting to work with FedEx. It's getting to work with all these people that I would have like never been able to connect with. And I shipped these, and I shipped them via FedEx. I was gonna use UPS, but thought that would be kind of weird. But I hope they arrived safely. That would be funny. People like Cirlces needed a bat, so we did one for Ish. And probably the biggest collaboration that we've done, and I'm gonna hang out on this one for just a second. Louisville Slugger. So we painted the bats for the 2018 Home Run Derby. I painted them, my team painted them, designed, worked with them. And this project kind of came kind of a roundabout way. So the last, I would say probably 3 years, I've been trying to find the person at Major League Baseball that can give me a yes or no as to if I can put Major League Baseball logos on our bats. And so I kept hitting dead ends, not emailing people, not hearing back. And finally, I find a guy. This is like a long string of searches. Found this guy on LinkedIn who was connected with my buddy Dan. And I texted Dan, and I said, I need to talk to John. And he says, do you know him? And he says, my kids call him Uncle John. And I'm like, okay, perfect. You know him. So connect us. I have a question. And so he connected us via email. The next day, I got on a phone call with Major League Baseball in New York. And hop on the call. John's like, any friend of Dan's, a friend of mine, how can I help? And I said, I want to put MLB logos, Major League Baseball logos, on my bats and sell them on my website and possibly sell them in the gift store. I just want to start the conversation and see what we can do. He says, that's a great idea. Only problem is only one bat company can do that. And I said, oh yeah? Who's that? He said, Louisville Slugger. He said, but I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm gonna tell them about you, and let's just see what happens. Maybe they'll be interested. I'm like, great. And so 6 months passed, and I didn't hear back from John, didn't hear anything. And then I get a phone call in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, and I answer it. And he says, Jeremy, you're not going to believe this, but Louisville Slugger wants to talk to you. And I said, about what? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, am I in trouble? He's like, I don't think so. I think they're interested in hiring you to do something for them. I'm like, cool. Yeah, do it. So the next day I hop on the call with Louisville Slugger, and they're like, hey, Jeremy, yeah, we talked to John. He said you had an idea. What's your idea? And so I took a deep breath. I want to put Major League Baseball logos on my bats and sell them on my website. Big long pause. And they said, no. And I'm thinking, no. Oh, man. I've waited like 6 months for this, and now I'm being told no. Man, okay. And they're like, well, what other ideas do you have? And I'm like, no, that's it. That's the idea. Sorry to waste your time. And they're like, but wait. We have an idea, if you're interested. You interested? I'm like, tell me the idea. And they said, we want you to paint the bats for the 2018 Home Run Derby. And I'm like, this is a childhood dream come true, to paint the bats for the Home Run Derby. That's crazy. And they're like, yeah, so you'll work with our creative director on the design, and we're gonna give these bats to all of our players that swing Louisville Slugger for the Home Run Derby and also for the All-Star Week. And it's in Washington, D.C., so we want to do kind of like an American flag, stars and stripes kind of thing. I'm like, this is crazy. I can't believe this. So, worked it out. 300 plus emails later, back and forth. They send us these raw bats from Louisville Slugger, way more than we should have agreed to do, in way less time that we should have done it in. And my team of me and my 3 painters, we pulled it off. And so there's a quick video that I'm going to show you about that collaboration. Yeah. So I was moving about that fast in real time. We didn't speed it up. We were going really fast. And so when I think about that project, I think wow, what a twist of a story there, because I wanted one thing, and they wanted something else that was much better. And I wasn't left with a disappointment. I was left with oh, that's even cooler. I'm so glad that we had this talk. And the last story I'm going to tell is about the Boston Red Sox. And this kind of comes full circle because, it started in 2013 during the World Series, and the Red Sox were about to win. And last year, the Red Sox won the World Series. And I've become friends with a lot of the creatives that run these teams, that are in the creative department at the Red Sox and Padres and Braves and different teams that I've become friends with just over time, Instagram DMs and meeting for coffee or whenever I'm in town. And so the Red Sox won the World Series, and I wanted to commemorate that for that design department because they've been super inspiring to me. And so their branding for postseason was "Do Damage." That was they had T-shirts, they had everything. It said "Do Damage." And when they won the World Series, they flipped it to "Damage Done." And so I got the graphic for them and created a bat for them. And then they sent me back these pictures of my bat at Fenway Park, and at the time I had never been to Fenway Park, and so I'm just freaking out. This is in my text in my inbox, and I'm just I can't believe that they have this, and they're taking these pictures. And that was it. So I just gave them that bat just for fun, just as a thank you. And then 2 months later, they email me and they say, "Hey, spring training's about to start, and we have this idea for a photo shoot." Where we want to take our players and put them in a red box, just surrounded the whole thing red. And we think that your bats would look really cool in the photos. And so, would you be interested in doing that? And I get these emails from people, and they're like, "Hey, you want to do this awesome project?" I'm like, yeah, I would. And so I agreed. And then this is what they did with them. That's Mookie Betts. He's a baseball player, professional baseball player, and I'm seeing these images come through my Instagram, getting tagged on Instagram, Instagram stories, and I was watching this photo shoot happen in basically in real time. And Dustin Pedroia, these are my heroes, and they're holding something that I painted at my house and hung dry in my laundry room, mind you. I have a shop, it's professional and everything, but sometimes I like to paint at the house, and I like to do these ones that are the high profile ones. I handle those in my house. Yeah, and they are loving life. And this is the creative team that put all this together, and they're super great people. So this past summer, I got a chance to visit Fenway Park. I'd never been to Fenway. It's one of those parks that I've always wanted to go to, and because I'm friends with the creative team, I was able to do things that people don't normally get to do, like a tour or anything. But I got a private tour of Fenway, and I'm just like, that's the green monster, and that's like super important to me. Like that's the place, and like that's my wife, and then we got to like poke our heads through the scoreboard. Nobody gets to do that. I got to put up numbers in the scoreboard, and like nobody gets to do that. Like it's something that is just like, because I started this bat project, 6 years ago, I'm getting to like fulfill this like childhood dream of getting to like walk around Fenway Park. I wrote my name, like there's like Sharpies back there, you can write your name on the wall and stuff, and so like there it is, Jeremy Mitchell, 19. And like I said before, I played for the Red Sox when I was little, and so I brought this with me. Rookie card. And so I'm standing on top of the green monster, holding that. Let's get closer to look at that. I'm wearing the same jersey. Like this is amazing. And so it was such a cool trip. It was such a cool thing to experience. And again, here's the team that was responsible for it. And so our stuff was hanging up inside the stadium. And the team photographer, Billy Weiss, who's such a great guy. And so we're walking through the front office, and I'm just like walking through, and I see this like receptionist desk, and like that's the program with holding one of my bats on the cover of the thing, and I'm there. But all that said, all those fun things I've gotten to experience, and the fun time that I had at Fenway Park, nothing compares to the next thing I'm going to show you. So we arrive in Boston. And I'm thinking about Fenway. Let's get to the park. Let's get to the park. I want to get there because we get this tour. And so we sit down at this restaurant, and we knew where we're supposed to be. We had our time that we're supposed to be at this certain gate. And we're sitting there eating, and we're talking, and I get a text from Marissa, who works for the Red Sox. And she said, "Hey, change of plans. We need you to come now." And so we're on the premises of Fenway. We're a little outside, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. Where do I need to go? She's like, gate D. And so we finished our food real fast, and so like I don't want to mess this up. So we're walking really fast, like this, like come on, let's go. And when I walk fast, I walk kind of like this. I don't swing my arms. And we're lost. Like the numbers are getting smaller, and we need to be on the other side of the thing. I'm like, let's just power through this, and let's just get there. And we're walking, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This was like this tall against this fence. And I didn't know they did this with the pictures. I knew that we had taken all these pictures with my bats, and there they are. And I'm standing there at Fenway Park, and I'm like, holy cow, look at that. And they're bigger than life. And it hit me. Like I realized man, this is what I've been working for. 6 years of painting bats and doing all this crazy stuff and trying to get attention and trying to like run a business and reach more people. And I'm at the oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball. I've always wanted to go there. And there's my bats on the side of this wall outside of Fenway Park. I couldn't believe it. And my wife was filming me because I was like, I couldn't even form a sentence. I was like, how about so? No, what? And she's like, what is it? What's wrong? I'm like, look. And so she's hit record because I love that she took this video that I'm about to show you, but this tells the whole story right here. I don't even know what to say. This is seriously like... they're all down the thing. feel? Yeah. Proudest moment, seriously, outside of my 3 kids being born and, getting married. Like that was my proudest moment of running this company. And we stood there for probably half an hour. And people were walking by, and I was like, "Hey, I painted that." And they're like, "Yeah, right." I'm like, "No, I really did. I promise." Such a neat thing. And the point of that, showing that video, is in that moment, I paused and I zoomed in on one thing. One thing one thing of many that has been on my list, or it's in my inbox. It's everything is so fast and busy in everyone's lives. But for that moment, I could stand right there on that sidewalk and just, I did this. All because of this. All because I put some bats on a piece of paper and shared it with the world. I shared a thought, shared something that I thought was cool. And so, launch now. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's perfect. Thank you.